Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Life Untamed. I'm here with Dimitria Stevenson today from Dimitria Healing Services. Dimitria is an intuition wellness expert, and she is also Greek, which makes her fucking awesome. Dimitria, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm honored to have you here. Thanks for being here. So, Dimitria, what is an intuition wellness expert?
So I call myself an intuitive wellness expert because I think that is most accurate in terms of what I do on a day-to-day basis. Right now, this whole holistic alternative medicine umbrella that's going on, I feel like all of the complementary therapies underneath there are sort of getting recategorized, if that makes sense. More and more people are coming out with their own versions of what they do. So for me, I lump myself right now under this umbrella of energy medicine. And what energy medicine is really hands-off, hands-on healing. So when someone comes in my office, I actually put my hands inside their aura. And we can talk a little bit about what an aura is, what an energy field is. I get my hands in there. Sometimes I don't have to. It just depends on what kind of healing they need or how I'm picking up the data or the information. But I tap into my own intuition, and I'm giving them spiritual insight around their growth cycles. And a growth cycle is very important because I believe I think is very personal for me, what I've seen in my own life and what I've seen for all of my clients, is that the growth cycle, moving through it and coming to the end of it, leads to personal transformation. So that's really the big end game, is everybody wants personal transformation. How do I get there? That's the murky part, right? So from a spiritual insight perspective, I could actually give them feedback and make this growth period or this growth cycle for them. I can bring it on a conscious level. That makes sense. So now you're in the driver's seat of your growth cycle. You're understanding what it means. You're understanding what it is to kind of move through it. And then you can actually help the end game towards this personal transformation. You can control it more. You can sort of, morph it to what it needs to be. And why I think that's super important is because I think after this personal transformation period is finished, you can either do one of two things. So it either can dump you into this, emotional space. So for example, let's say that you're at your job, right? And you're happy, you're at your job, you're working. And then over the years, you notice that, wow, I'm really good at this job and I'd like to get a promotion. I've mastered this. It's time for me to move on. But your boss isn't saying anything to you about getting a promotion. You're also not speaking up. So you're not voicing what you want. Well, before it didn't irritate you, but now it does. So you're moving into this growth cycle where it's time for you to start to, take more, take this, the life by its horns and start voicing what you want from things and take more action about things. So that whole experience for you now has gone from now you're happy, which is an emotion, to now realizing it's uncomfortable for you, to sort of being depressed about it, to if you just let it go and don't take any action, you're now turning into this space of maybe there's a part of your soul that's kind of leaving you, right? Because you're sitting here and you know that you deserve so much more, you're capable of so much more. So the end goal could be, you going up and talking to your boss about a promotion, them giving it to you, and suddenly you're happy. So that causes an emotional state of happiness. Or she says no, and you're sad. Or what you could do is you could be conscious of what you're moving through this entire time. And not only can you take the action at the end, but you can also understand it at a level where now you're being fulfilled too. So the same example, while let's say that you work with me or you're doing it yourself, because you can certainly do some of this work yourself. But as you're going through realizing, well, I don't speak up, all of a sudden now you realize, well, part of my growth period too is understanding that I'm in the healthcare business. And let's say it's not something I'm passionate about either. So now you're connecting with, okay, well, what's my passion? And you're super passionate about technology. So now instead of just asking for the raise, you're putting your resume out there and you're trying to find something that's going to really fulfill you So by understanding your growth cycle and being conscious of your growth cycle, you can actually attain the thing you want, plus you can attain fulfillment. And I think that that is what has changed my life in a significant way. And when I see people in general, I think that that's what people are kind of striving for, is this personal transformation, fulfillment aspect that is authentic to them in their lives.
That's amazing. So would you agree that somebody figuring out, hey, I'm in the middle of a growth phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
A level of irritation sets in, or feeling like you're stuck in a rut, aggravated irritation, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a way that people can easily think, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm stuck here. Maybe I'm ready for something new, right? Because, I've been doing mortgages for 20 years now. And a few years ago, I just started getting real irritated with residential mortgages, with all the regulations that they've got, all the stupid fucking paperwork and busy work that you have to do. Right. And I was like, you know what? This fucking sucks. Fuck this shit. And I started, I'm like, I need something different. So I started doing commercial mortgages, which is less aggravating. It's more money, right? Still maybe doesn't make my heart sing, but it was a signal to me that I needed a change. Would you agree is that do people need to wake up and, like, when they're feeling that agitation or that I'm stuck in a rut, like, hey, it's time for something new here. This isn't serving me anymore. Is that it?
Exactly. And for me, I don't think that growing up there was a class that I ever took, or really a conversation that I took that taught me how to hone in on those signals, right? So some of what you're honing in on is conscious and some of it's unconscious. So for me, the vehicle, it's your spirit talking to you. It's your authentic soul talking to you. And in order for you to really listen, you have to tap in. And the vehicle to tap in is through the intuition, basically. So as you build your intuition, it's almost like you're building this trust between your body and your soul. So if you didn't listen to your intuition for 15 years and then suddenly you start listening to it, it's not going to really believe that you're listening to it, right? So it is this sort of art and science of this dance really between your body and your soul, until you get to the point where you can really tap in, you can really hone in, you're listening, you're making moves, you're seeing progress from listening to it, and you've achieved something through that. So then the next time around, you're willing to take that leap of faith again. And I think a lot of it is a leap of faith. And once you take it, and like I said, once you've achieved something or experienced something good. So if you felt better by going to commercial mortgages, right, and at least that gave you something that was a little bit more inspirational, then I'm not saying it's a huge leap, but I call them micro moments. You have these sort of micro moments where you don't feel the impact of them, but they're very impactful from the perspective of this trust, building this trust between your body and your spirit. And the more trust you have, the more information comes in. And it's all of us have that ability to tap into our intuitive power. And our intuitive power should really just kind of put our life on blast from the perspective of, like, just take it to the next level, because it's you doing what you love, in sort of the physical reality, sense of the world, but it's you doing what you love, like, as your authentic being and your personal power, that just, like, takes it to the next level.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, everyone always talks about, their sixth sense, their intuition. Oh, I should have listened to my instincts, right? Mm-hmm, it's always too late because no one listens. So do you have any, maybe a couple tips for our listeners at home of how they can better tap into their intuition or hone it?
Yes, I do. I can't say that it was super easy for me. It took a really long time. So I'm also not trying to sort of say that this is easy. Sometimes if I go through a growth cycle personally, it may take three years for me to really get to the point where I see changes in my life. So again, I just kind of want to stress a leap of faith. But the better you are at it, just like anything else, the more you practice, the faster it starts to really materialize itself into your physical life. But Meditation, obviously, is one of them. So the reason why you're sitting still is because you're trying to really hear yourself. And today's age is crazy with the cell phones and the computers and the 500 emails a day. When do you really have a chance to sit down and listen to you? So meditation obviously is one of them. And I'm a big advocate for meditating a couple minutes a day. I just think that, like, for me personally, with a busy lifestyle that I have, it's unfortunately I can't meditate for an hour a day. And, sometimes I can, but when I can't, or, maybe 3 or 4 days a week that I can't, the 5 minutes a day of just literally meditating or grounding yourself or saying a mantra, just quieting your mind and just asking yourself, what do I really want today? It's going to make me happy. Something very simple, or coming from a place of gratitude, just feeling what you're grateful for. Those are all things that can just start to get you to hone in to yourself. The other thing that I think really helps is taking that action. So kind of what I've said, these little micro moments in time. The minute you hear something, you hear this voice in your head, like, don't do that, or don't go to that party, or go to that party. Start doing these little tiny actions that you hear and see what happens over time. And like I said, I think the biggest thing people can do is follow their instinct or follow their intuition, and then look back and reflect on the changes that they've seen in their life from it. But if you want to break down, I think it's so interesting, but if you want to break down intuition, most people don't know this, but within this intuitive, let's call it a sixth sense space, it's actually multisensory in 5 specific senses. So there's certain ways that intuition can come to you. It's not that intuition comes to everybody in the same way. So one of them is called clairaudience, which is the hearing. So you can hear a little voice, and it's different than mind chatter, and that's where the meditation comes in. It's pretty helpful because when you're sitting there, you can hear the mind chatter come up and then move it out, and then really start to get to what's that deep voice that's usually coming from a space of here, or sometimes people hear it like behind here in their head. But you'll notice it over time that the voice that's coming to you, that's an intuitive voice, is coming to you from a different place than the mind chatter, right? So being able to separate those two is key. Some people say they experience, like, they're driving in a car and they just hear a voice like, move over, go to the right. And then, a vehicle would pass them and it would have hit them. But just because they had that voice that came to them that, sort of pushed them to move. So that's the auditory clairaudience. There is clairsentience, which is more of the feeling aspect. So when you walk into a room and you know that a couple was just fighting, right, you feel that tension in the air.
Yep.
But, they don't indicate it. There's nothing that they said to you. They just are silent. You just feel that. So learning how to tap into these feelings that you have and discerning if they're accurate or not is really helpful. So that's you sometimes hear it as called people are empaths, or it's this empathic ability, but it's really the ability to feel and sense. And the psychic piece of it comes in there too. So everybody has a psychic ability. And for me, I know when I'm tapping into my psychic ability because I'll start to get chills all over my body. And that tells me that I'm taking it from a transactional place of energy healing to like a transcendent place of really something that's like more supernatural, something that's more spiritual, right? Because I'm having those chills. So I know that I got it. I'm there when those chills come in. There's also sight. So clairvoyance is sight. So one way that I tap into my intuition is I can actually see mental image pictures of energy. So what I'm doing is I'm taking all of the data that I'm getting through my intuitive, all these different senses, and I'm honing it into my vision so I can actually see pictures, which is pretty interesting. I've actually gone to school to help me because that wasn't natural for me. There was a lot of intuitive things that I had, intuitive abilities that I had that were pretty natural, but seeing it didn't come naturally to me. But I learned how to see it. And one of the reasons why I learned how to see it is because when you're discerning it, or when you're reading energy or reading someone's aura or their energy field, you need to do it through your 6th chakra, which is this space of neutrality. So when you're reading somebody and you want to get an accurate reading, I want to be neutral. I don't want to be in judgment. So if you're coming to me and you're asking me, okay, I want to make a life change, I want to lose 20 pounds, or, I have a chronic illness and I don't know why it keeps looping, or I'm, in the same relationship, just they're different guys, but it's the same loop over and over and over again. Well, you probably say girls, not guys. For me, I want to give you the most accurate data as possible. And the way that you do that is through your sixth space. So there's no judgment is what I'm saying coming from me, because there's no judgment. We're all on our own journeys together. We're all on our separate journeys. And what I think about it makes no here, no there. Right. But there's so then there's smell and taste also. Okay.
The smell, that's interesting. I didn't know that was something that was, you could find clairvoyance or clairsmellance from
yeah, I don't know if
it's right?
I like
what is it like? Oh, did you fart, man? Like, does that mean something? Like, dude, I smell fart.
Are you going to lose your job the next day?
Yeah. Like, what's that all about? So you mentioned earlier about the auras, and sometimes you have to place your hands inside an aura field. Explain a little bit about that. That's something a lot of people don't necessarily understand. Can you tell us about auras, the different auras, and just whatever you're talking about there? Explain to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
Yeah, sure. So everyone has an energy field that surrounds them. It actually comes off of their body, and it's electromagnetic field. So for example, when you go get an EKG and the doctor's measuring the electromagnetic energy that's coming out of your heart, we are all electromagnetic beings. So we have this field, and it's all interconnected with everybody else. And there's tons of research and information on this. So I definitely, if you want, I could put in I can give users some places where I've learned a lot about this, because now the science is crazy in terms of really understanding this and pinpointing what it looks like and where it's coming from and giving evidence behind it. So there's a lot of books out there, but more so there's a lot of new science that's coming out as well. So I can always provide links and things like that. But at the end of the day, we are all energetic beings, and we're all connected to each other. And we have organs in our body, we have this energetic, almost field, but this highway system too, that kind of runs through our body. Mm-hmm. And the aura is made up of 3 different layers. So the layer that's closest to your physical body is called the etheric field. And this is where I do a lot of my healing, because I can do some healing work. I can get inside the etheric field, and it touches the actual physical body. So think about it like there's a highway system of all these energy channels that are running or sort of overlaying your body. And someone like an acupuncturist, what they do is they go into this field, like through their needle, right? Mm-hmm. And they're looking for the meridian points, which is where all the energy sort of comes to a head. And that's the place where if they tap their needle in, it'll get them the biggest bang for their buck, right? Or if there are places where they know the energy is blocked, they could place a needle in, and the needle sort of, nudges the energy to unblock, and then suddenly you got your flow going on again, right? So it's all about a nice flow. You want to have bright lights, you want to have flow. And if something is stuck or damaged in the etheric field, then I can overlay my hands on top of it. I can find where that is just based on signals that I receive, and then I can read pictures about what's going on with that person. So is it because they're experiencing anxiety, or is it because they're not speaking their truth? So I'm really trying to get to the real spiritual reason behind why it's manifesting itself in a physical way. That's my job. So the doctor will help you, put the cast on and heal you physically, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a holistic sort of approach, is because I believe that you need to be using every single asset that you have in your tool belt to help you achieve health, right? So that's where I'm coming from, is from a spiritual place. How can I sort of figure that out, what's going on with you, so you can be conscious of it and we can repair it together. So that's the etheric field. And then you have the astral field. And the astral field is about like maybe 3 feet to sort of 10 feet, just depending. The aura kind of goes in and out, depending on the time of day or the second. but this is where all your emotions are. So this is a really supercharged emotional space, and it's beautiful. I mean, I see some beautiful things in this space, but this is where maybe if you're going to write a book, I could see that occurring. If you're going to buy a new house, I could see that. So there's actually things that are manifesting itself in the astral field of the aura. That's where they manifest. And actually I can see if it's coming in through the left in this manifestation zone in your body, I can see that it's something that's going to manifest itself. Or if it's leaving on the right, it's either, you're either finished with it or it just never manifested itself in reality and it's gone. And then you have the mental field, and the mental field is where all your thoughts and your feelings, well, not your feelings, your thoughts. It's really where all your thoughts go in this mental field. So just given what the person wants for the personal transformation, what the objective of the session is, I will pick up these signals in the aura, essentially, and that helps me. So the aura and the chakras, and the chakra system is also important because that's where the body holds the most data, and that's basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to receive data, and then I can communicate that data out to you in the most neutral way possible. I can. So then you have that information. So for example, to go back to a growth cycle, again, if I'm having these feelings, but I don't know what they mean, and I'm just sitting there for 2 years, I'm just sitting in the same job for 2 years, and I'm not really, I know I have this itch, and now the itch just kind of turned into uncomfortableness, and now it's turned into depression, but I'm still not doing anything about it. That's where people get stuck. But understanding or being conscious of it is really where it helps, because then you can be in the driver's seat, like I said. So I get the most data through different parts of your field depending on the person, and then the chakras. Like if I'm not getting a lot of data in the aura, I'll go right to the chakras, and then I'll try to pick up the data from the chakras.
So you mentioned something. What was the second aura field? What's that called?
Astral.
Astral. So you said in the astral you can see stuff, and that, I'm a law of attraction Abraham Hicks fan, and she always talks about when you have a desire, you conceive it in your mind, and it already exists in the spiritual plane, in your vortex is what she calls it, right? Are you saying you can see the vortex when you said you can see the house or something that's on the verge of being manifested? Is that what you mean by that?
Yep. So if you want,
now, do you see a picture of it? I
can see a picture of it.
All right. We might have to do a session. I want to see which
I would love to.
Which you can see in my vortex. Although supposedly everything I've ever desired is sitting there waiting for me to get on that frequency so it can manifest in a physical sense.
Exactly. And when you're meditating, if you want to think about seeing it in your astral field and having it come towards you on this left-hand side of your body, and then
my left-hand side?
Your left-hand side.
Coming this way.
It always comes in left, it leaves right. And then feeling the emotions of already having it, that's some powerful meditation that will that will super speed into existence.
So if I got some shitty job that I hate, or some shitty girlfriend or boyfriend, for all you girls out there, you're always complaining about the guys you're dating. Meditate,
tough out there.
It's only tough if you say it's tough, right?
Right.
So
stuff out there.
Yeah. So I would meditate, right? And picture that garbage leaving me to my right, whatever that garbage is, right? And maybe that new job, new relationship, new car, what have you, coming in from my left, front left or direct left?
It has to be in the manifestation zone. So between your hips and your throat.
Hips and throat.
Yep.
Okay. Because I always picture things coming up here. So I should lower that up here where my head is, bring it down.
Lower that. Exactly.
Lower that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got it.
I love
you want to manifest it. You manifest everything from your second chakra. That's how you create. You create everything spiritually from your second. So it's got to be it's got to be coming in through your second.
The sacral. You know? So I should put some of my orange oil for my sacral region, rub it down there on my pubic bone before I
You do it, honey. Whatever you got to do, you do.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works. Yeah, whatever
right?
puts it in. Exactly.
If you think it's going to work, it'll work. And if you don't think it's going to work, it's not going to work anyway. So,
I mean, I think it's a little bit more than that, but at least you're on the right path, right?
Yeah.
At least you're turning your energy around for yourself, which is good. But yeah, and then what I could do is I can see, you're thinking about it, you're manifesting it. I can see, where is it in the field? Did it just start? Is it something that's actually moving its way in? Sometimes things come in and they stay for long periods of time. So why is it stuck?
Right.
That's the type of insight I can give you. So I can help you along the growth cycle so you can hopefully get to, in the end, faster. So it's kind of about speeding it up too.
Excellent. So you mentioned a couple words I really like: create, manifest. Let's talk about that. Everyone wants to know how they can create more in their life, create what they want, create the house of their dreams, create that new car, that new relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about creating, and also let's talk about money, right? No one wants to, everyone pretends like, Mom, money, I don't need money. Fuck yeah, you need money. You need money.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to hear you don't need money. That's complete bullshit. So let's talk about money. It has a lot of bad connotations. Money's evil, this and that. What do you think about that? What can we do to help people get more comfortable about desiring money? Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with money. Money is a neutral object, just like this. This is an object. This is an object. I could take this and jam this in someone's eye. That doesn't mean this pen's evil, right? It means I'm an asshole. So money is the same thing. What do you think? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, I do believe that there's abundance for everybody, and everyone has their own unique path. Sometimes people legitimately don't want to make a lot of money, and that's fine for them if that's in alignment with their authentic path, right? Mm-hmm. So I think for me, and that's why my work is sort of so broad in some ways, where people see me for so many different questions. And under this personal transformation, it's like money and health and da, 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 da. It's because there's so many different, tastes, flavors of, coffee, of cookies. There's so many different people. But I believe that there's abundance. And if you desire something and it's something that you want and it's something that aligns to your authentic self, then you should go out and get it. And I think the happier, in general, this is like just a general thing, but the happier you are, the more you're giving to yourself, the more that you are providing everything that you want to yourself. I think the happier you're going to be, the more you draw things in that are positive. And it's just this loop. It's just a circle that keeps going round and round and round. I don't think money's evil. I think money's fantastic. I think having a positive, healthy outlook on money is very good. The more money you have, the more freedom you have. I mean, it's just the reality of life, right? So the more free that you can be, at least that's what it equates to my mind, is it's not necessarily like I want to have dollar bills everywhere, but I want to be able to have options, and I want to be able to have opportunities, and I want to be able to have freedom. So for me, that's what it symbolizes. So I think the more money that I can have, great. And I would wish that everybody would have as much money as they wanted to. And I think that a lot of it just has to do with mindset. Like you're saying, if you're saying it's evil, it's not really going to be to you, unfortunately, right?
Right.
So changing that mindset, I think, is step one. And something that I've learned to do over the years, I think like literally just 5 or 6 years ago, that is interesting, is if I have that negative connotation towards something, it does make me think that maybe I'm jealous. And then me being jealous is actually an indicator that ignites my intuition that tells me what I want. So if I'm jealous of somebody, well, I might want what they have. So then if I want what they have, I'm going to go ask them how they got it.
Right.
Versus staying away from them because they're scary because they're rich, or they're, he must be an asshole because he's rich, or, right?
Right.
It's, hey, I want to make friends with that person because I want to figure out how they made their money, because I want money too.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think has helped me. And the question you asked me earlier, like, how can you tap in your intuition? I've noticed that jealousy, when it comes up for me, is something that is like just a signal or trigger that's saying, wow, you must want that in your life and you don't have it. So try to figure out how to go and get it.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up something really important. You know, if you see somebody that has something that you want, ask them how they got it. You know, if you're trying to write a book, reach out to somebody who's written a book and say, hey, I'm really, impressed with what you did. Do you have any advice for me? Having a mentor is humongous. They've made all the mistakes. They know what they can do. They can tell you exactly what they did. You follow their blueprint, do what they did, you'll have the same exact results that they had.
I agree. And it doesn't even need to be career. Like, I have this one girlfriend who is so smoking hot, and she literally was born sexy. I feel like she was just born sexy. It comes out of every single pore in her body. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's a period of time when we used to run together when we were single and younger. And I noticed like there was a certain kind of guy that I was attracting, but I really wanted to expand that vernacular and attract more men. And I felt like I just didn't have that. I mean, I don't think I could ever have the same energy as she does naturally, because it's just, like I said, she was born, but I wanted more. So I had a conversation with her about it. What do you do? How do you attract men the way you do? I mean, literally we were on the beach one day and she was like, oh, I'll break it down for you, sister. I will give you all of my secrets. I will tell you this, and this. Meanwhile, I just remember we were at this beach house, like sharing a shore house. All the girls in the shore house hated her. So she repelled the women because they were essentially, there was an aspect of it where they were either intimidated by it or jealous of it. But when you start to feel that intimidation and that jealousy, it's like, well, why can't I have what she's having? And I'm not going to have it in the same way she's having it or the same experiences that she's experiencing it. But I certainly can vuv up my vavoom a little more, right? And
right.
Just got a little better.
So what were a couple of these tips that she shared with you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of women listening to this and they're thinking, hey, come on, give me some of the secret sauce.
Give me some of this.
This woman was exuding sexiness. What can you share any of that with us?
Yeah, I don't think I was being flirty enough, and I don't think I was building up the ego enough for the guys. So the flirty lightness, it's funny because I just think, especially for career women, I mean, I came from a 20-year career in corporate America, and you get in this sort of male energy zone where it's like, get it done, get it done, get it done. But females are more creative and, we're pumping gas and a guy's like, hey, let me help you do that. Or, right, we can manifest magic almost. Females can manifest magic. It's just part of who we are.
Believe me, I'm aware of the magic. Yeah.
Right, there you go. So
yeah, you women could really destroy us if you start using that magic.
Right, exactly. Good and bad. But the point is that she got me to a place from a comfortability perspective where I could go up to anybody, or I can draw them in with my energy just by flirting more, by being comfortable in my own skin, by building up their ego. And like I said, sometimes I get in that work zone and then I bring that over to party zone, and I'm not realizing that I'm just too intellectual. When it's like, hey, we're at a party, we're just having fun. Like, let's get a little bit, loosen up a little bit, right?
Right.
So she's almost loosen up all the time in the sense of everything's fun to her, and she, her main thing is just have fun with the conversation, right? It doesn't need to go anywhere, but just have fun in that moment. And also, I do think stroking guys' egos is very helpful.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how do you do that? Just pay them a sincere compliment, or?
Of course, it needs to come from a sincere place, but I think men in general, and of course I'm generalizing, but this is just a personal thing of mine. I think that men respond much better to positivity than they do negativity. So for example, if I want to bitch at my husband for not picking something up, it's not really going to work that well. But if he does something great and I say, hey, thanks, right? I mean, it's a person, it's not even a male or woman, but that person responds so much better to that. So making your husband, but something about men, which is very beautiful, which is they really want to make women happy. But so why not sort of leverage that in some way? It's like, my husband gets happy making me happy. How beautiful is that? So why can't I, when he does make me happy, why can't I build those things up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he picks up his clothes for a week, I can say, wow, honey, thanks. You really helped me pick up, you pick up the clothes. Great. Versus when he doesn't do it, say, oh, the clothes are on the floor, and bitch at him. Right.
Right.
So I just think men.
Two different energies right there.
Two different energies.
Yeah.
And men, in my experience, just, they like it when women stroke their ego.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you for a fact that guys do not like being nagged. They fucking hate it.
Nobody likes being nagged.
And you're not going to get anywhere nagging your guy, right?
No.
Or your girl. And there's something that popped into my head is appreciation goes a long way. When someone feels appreciated, they will actually subconsciously try to do more for you.
That's
for
right.
that appreciation.
That's
so
probably appreciation is probably a better definition of what I was trying to say regarding ego.
That's what I picked up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, honey, hey, you know what? I really appreciated you picked that shit up off the floor. Right? Yeah. It's amazing. It changes the whole energy. All it has to do is the words you use and the vibe you give off. Like you said, the girl, being fun, flirty.
Mm-hmm.
It's a positive vibe. That's an attractive vibe. You're going to draw people in like that. Other than the girl that's like, looking at her nails, like,
Yeah.
She's not fucking attracted to anything like that.
No, and also it's about the connection you make with that person at the time. So whether it's a 2-minute connection, you're just talking, but it's like, what information can I get from them where I'm establishing this connection and being present in it, versus I felt like I was always on some interview with guys for a while where I would just be like, this is what I do. And this is right. Like this interview, and you probably never experienced this because you probably never had this issue, but I had this issue.
I've had it.
Okay. I've had this issue before with men where I would just sort of, feel like I was on this interview, and the truth is like, throw all that out the window and just connect with this other human being.
Right.
That's all it's about. It doesn't need to be any more pressure than that. Right.
Yeah.
So connect and try to get whatever fun moments you have at the time. And then that leads to something else. Potentially that leads to something else. It just grows on itself. But the whole interview thing, I think I was approaching men wrong that way too, where it was more.
Well, I see guys make that mistake all the time. I used to do it too. Women do it too. You get in there and you start with what I call the boring conversation. So how many brothers and sisters do you have? Oh, what did you go to school for? Oh, okay. Tell me about, it's stupid. That's not fun. That's not fun talk. And I used to do that stuff too. And then when I shifted conversation around, I even do this like with networking. I go to networking events, and people are like, yeah, I'm with this company and this is what I'm going to do. Dude, I don't want to fucking hear that, man. Give me your card. I know within a few seconds if you can benefit me or I can benefit you. Tell me about you, man. Like, what's going on? How was your day? Is this fun? Look at that girl over there. That's fun talk. That's what people like, right? I don't want to hear about, you've got 3 dogs. How many dogs do you have? 3 dogs, a cocker spaniel. I don't give a fuck. No one cares about that stuff. I mean, they care about it to a point, right? But you can find out about that stuff later.
Right.
That's not fun.
Right. I agree.
So let's talk about selfishness a little bit real quick. It's one of my favorite topics. It's very misconstrued, and some people don't understand it when I talk about it. But a saying that I like to use a lot is that selfishness is something that people accuse you of when you won't do what they want you to do. So where do you stand on selfishness and taking care of yourself first? Because I believe that it's extremely important to actually take care of yourself first so that you can serve others. What do you think?
I agree. And I think when I became a mom, it got hard, to be honest. And it's funny because in my household growing up, when I was a child, my parents would talk a lot about me being selfish. It was kind of like my MO. And it was a negative. It was, oh, she was she's always so selfish. And it kind of was defined as like self-centered, like that part of it, which wasn't necessarily wrong, but it was definitely like a negative connotation. And then here, the person that's selfish, has a baby, and suddenly, definitely, took my world for a loop a little bit there. But as my child's gotten older, and I've been able to pull away from that now, and more so, and look back, it's like the number one priority for me, honestly, to be selfish. And it's a weird thing to say when people hear it. I think there's like so many different connotations that kind of come up to it. But what I realized, let me just break it down for you in real world. If I'm, bathing my child for the 5th night in a row, and I'm tired, and I feel like I've just been through the ringer, and my energy's zapped, and my husband's, in there reading a book and hasn't offered to help, right? And I don't say anything to him because I'm trying to be selfless. What do you think happens?
You go further down this bad spiral.
So then I put her to bed, and then I'm really tired, and then he's trying to connect with me. I don't want anything to do with him. And then the morning comes, and right. So it's this. Is
that when the woman says she has a headache? Is that how that happens?
I have a headache. I have
a headache. I'm not in the mood.
But the point is, it doesn't really benefit anybody. But if I say to him, hey, would you mind giving her a bath tonight? No problem. Well, suddenly I've done something that's good for myself. And I'm very good too about boundaries. And I really think selfishness boils down to boundaries. So I know what my boundaries are, the limits of what I want, doing something because it's an actual coming from a place of authenticity. Mm-hmm. I think, to me, selfishness and authenticity is right there. It's like, you don't want me giving you a compliment if it's not real. It's not coming from a place of being true. The same thing. You don't want me doing something for you. How am I helping somebody if I'm doing something for them when I really don't want to, right? So, of course, everyone has those times in their lives where they have to do something because it's their family or whatever. But I'm talking about completely being altruistic and just sort of, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and doing things for the sake of just, I'm such a good person. I'm just going to, keep on being self-sacrificing. And I personally don't think it helps anybody. And I think that my life runs better when I'm selfish. And that's just what I've personally seen that's just results I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because, here's the thing, and people don't understand sometimes, but if you're not feeling good, if you've got a bad vibe going on, okay, you're affecting everybody around you, whether your work or your significant other or your kids, everybody's affected by your vibration that you're giving off. And if you're not selfish to the extent that you are keeping yourself in a high vibe state, you're not doing any service to anybody around you at all. The lady in line behind you at the grocery store, anybody that you come into contact that day are affected in a way by how you're feeling.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's as simple as that. If you want to serve people and help people, you being your highest self is going to do more for the people around you. And I agree. I see people that are the givers, the people, they're always giving, they're giving. They seem to be the most saddest people, or they're not the happiest people.
As being like martyrs. There's a lot of martyrs and victims. And
right.
That's where I think selfish is in line with like your individuality. And I don't know. I think that you're raised to believe that you shouldn't be a star in your own life. And the truth is you're here to be a star. This is your life. So you better be selfish, and you better do whatever you want to do in your life to make it the most amazing life that you want, right? And if you do that, the most of your energy needs to be put towards what you want your own life, right? I mean, if you're just giving your energy out to all these people, then you have very little energy left for yourself, right? So then how do you be a star? How do you own your own life? And it's the same concept we were talking about before, jealousy. I think people see you being selfish and immediately judge it and get jealous of it. And jealous is even the bad word. I'm trying to think of another word I use other than jealous, but they want to be a star of their own lives, right? So in some ways, but they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And you get there through a growth cycle, which I help people with, but you want to be a star of your own life. That's the bottom line. And you
I love that.
How to be that star.
Star of your own life, right?
That's what I think.
That's amazing. So how can people get a hold of you for a session? Obviously, what area are you in for an in-person session? And then can people do sessions with you over the phone or over Zoom?
Yes. So
Tell us about that.
I do it all. I do in-person sessions. I do sessions over the phone. I do video sessions. I have an office that's based in Center City, Philadelphia on 16th and Walnut. So if you're in the Philadelphia area or surrounding areas and you want to come in and see me, please, I would love it. And then I'm just going to give my website because it's probably the easiest way to book me. If you go to www.upgradeyourflow.com, the very first page, there's a button that says book your assessment now. And it takes you to a page that literally just shows you my calendar and where I'm open and where you can book, and you can book right there online. So that's the easiest way to book me.
Upgradeyourflow.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great name. Upgrade your flow, right? Who doesn't need a little bit of that?
Who doesn't need a little spirit lift?
Yeah. So people might ask, okay, well, is it better to have a session in person? Am I losing anything by doing it, over the phone or on Zoom? But, explain that. I think because you can tap in, you don't need to be in person to tap in, right?
Right. I can tap in remotely to the same thing I can do when you're physically in front of me. I think it's just a matter of preference. Some clients I have start off in person and then we move to the phone, and some clients that are long distance and don't have that option, we just go to the phone. I do have an option for a free 15-minute assessment. So if you're not sure, if there's anything you're not sure about, feel free to book me for that, and then we can talk on the phone. And I typically do give some background and insight into, into what we're going to do during the session. And I'll read something for you too. So if you have a burning question you want me to read, and then you can actually see the process of me reading over the phone, and you can tell whether it's something that that you'd like to do.
Fantastic. Now, when you say read something, what do you mean? In a layman's
remember
terms?
When I was explaining how I use my intuition, I tap in. I can see mental image pictures. So if you have a question you want an answer to, then I use my clairvoyant part of my intuition to see a picture and explain that picture back to you. Gotcha.
So if I'm like, hey, trying to figure out if I should move to Los Angeles or Arizona, that you can kind of tap into that and get the visual.
What I would do is I would put up a picture, the way that I intuit, I would put up something and I would look at both of those things, and then I could give you, I could tell you what the energy looks like on both of those things. So sometimes I could see like black energy, which doesn't necessarily mean bad, but maybe how I see is I see in roses before I see pictures. So I would put up a rose for those two things. And then in one area, the rose maybe would look wilty, or the other area, the rose would look vibrant and full and red and lush. So I would go through the process of telling you what I saw, and then it may spiral into a picture. So maybe the picture is I see you, moving your furniture in there, and then the space is looking really heavy and it feels like it's suffocating you. So that would be an indication of it may not be the right move.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, we're going to have to do a session sometime.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here today and having these conversations with me. Dimitria Stevenson from Dimitria Healing Services, and she is the intuitive wellness expert. Website, upgradeyourflow.com. All of you, check out her website, schedule an appointment, because she will tell you what you need to do or guide you, right? To a better life of abundance. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. I had a really great time.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'll see you. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.